Hey guys, this is May Watson here, and I'm doing a mini seminar on the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. So this is one of the quotes from Malcolm Gladwell, and I really like this quote, so I wanted to share it with you guys. It states that once you've written something, it no longer belongs to you, it belongs to your readers. Some information on him, according to famousauthors.org, Malcolm Gladwell is a Canadian journalist. He's based in New York, and he's appeared in Time Magazine's 100 Most Influential People. In addition to being one of the best-selling authors to 4 books, Gladwell also is a speaker, and he has been on the job as a staff writer for the New Yorker since 1996. His works deal with research in areas of psychology, social psychology, and then sociology. So this is a quote taken from the book, and it kind of gives you a preview of what the book is about. It kind of sets the pace for the book. So the quote from the book states, our unconscious reactions come out of a locked room, and we can't look inside that room. But with experience, we become experts at using our behavior and our training to interpret and decode what lies behind our snap judgments and first impressions. So this is a synopsis of the book. The book basically talks about the ability for the mind to be able to make split-second decisions in the blink of an eye. So Malcolm Gladwell called this process thin splicing. He states that through this process, we have the capacity to sift huge amounts of information. We can blend that data, isolate telling details, and come to an astonishingly rapid conclusions, even in those first 2 seconds. So basically, Blink is about those first 2 seconds of that rapid cognition. So the book starts off with an introductory story, and it kind of caught my eye because it was named The Statue That Just Didn't Look Right. So the introductory story starts off with a story of J. Paul Getty Museum in California that purchased a statue, and it's known as the Kouros, after a 14-month investigation of authenticity. Just to give you a little bit of background, there are only about 200 Kouros in existence, and most have been recovered, and when they recovered them, they were badly damaged. But for some reason, this statue was almost perfectly preserved. And after thorough investigation and validation from a geologist and expert team, the statue was actually verified authentic. So the introductory story continues, and a symposium was actually convened later with a collection of the most senior sculpture experts to view the Kouros, and the outcome was not good. So Malcolm writes that at first glance, some of the experts stated that the statue just didn't look right. When they looked at the Kouros and felt an intuitive repulsion, they were absolutely right. So actually within that first 2 seconds, in a single glance, they were able to understand more about the essence of the statue than the team at the Getty was able to understand after 14 months. It ended up being that the statue didn't actually come from ancient Greece. It came from a forger's workshop in Rome in the early 1980s. So it just goes to show you that these senior sculptors were able to make that first impression 2-second decision about this statue and know that it was a fake. So the book actually dives into a roller coaster of even more stories similar to that introductory story, just giving us some entertaining review of examples of thin slicing and 2-second thinking. So this is actually another example of the 2-second thinking, and this one really caught my eye. It talks about a scientist. This is Sylvan Tompkins. He's believed that faces held valuable clues to inner emotions and motivations. Sylvan Tompkins actually had a knack for being able to gain a lot of insight from a person just by looking at their face. He could walk into a post office, go over to the wanted posters, and just by looking at the mugshots, say what crimes the various fugitives had committed. Tompkins was given footage of 2 tribespeople from the remote jungles of Papua New Guinea that he actually knew nothing about. So the story continues. The previous slide was actually a picture of one of the tribespeople, and this is the second tribespeople that he was given a slideshow about and knew nothing about. So it says that South Four tribe were a peaceful and friendly people, which was the previous slide. The Kuku tribe, which is on this slide, were a murderous and hostile tribe with homosexual ritual in which pre-adolescent boys were required to serve as courtesans for their male elders of the tribe. So at the end of the footage, Tompkins actually pointed to the faces. He pointed to the faces of South Four tribe and said that these are sweet, gentle people, very indulgent and very peaceful. And then he pointed to the faces of the Kuku tribe, even though he didn't know anything about them, and he stated that this other group is violent and there are lots of evidence that suggests homosexuality. So the face is an enormously rich source of information about emotion, and our mind is able to break that information down and give us insight by just glancing at a face. So this is just another example of being able to utilize that 2-second snap judgment and gain such information just by one glance. So these are the reasons for the selection of the book. Going through the list that Dr. Story gave us, any title that kind of caught my eye, I went and looked at the reviews for. And this one just had a lot of good reviews. Just to name a couple, Donna Seaman from Booklist, she said, Gladwell brilliantly illuminates an aspect of our mental lives that we utterly rely on yet rarely analyze, namely our ability to make snap decisions or quick judgments, enlightening, provocative, and great fun to read. So that's the reason why I chose this book. So this is the critique. I would say that the book was enlightening, to say the least. The examples in the book were people use thin slicing. It kind of made you want to try to access that subconscious part of your brain and use it as a superpower of sorts. But Gladwell's stories support his claim of the ability to use a little information to make measured decisions. So I would give the book 2 thumbs up. Strengths for the book, I would say that his research and stories really support the successful implementation of thin slicing. The book was very intriguing and it kind of challenges the way you think. The book is well written. Like I said earlier, it was a roller coaster ride of the stories and it made it really easy to read. And the book was very interesting. It had a variety of stories that I think that would captivate an audience with many interests. Weaknesses of the book. So his book did seem to be one-sided. Gladwell really stressed the importance of 2-second thinking and how sometimes more information can overwhelm our decision making. But I think that careful decisions includes getting all the facts sometimes. That can actually be just as effective when it comes to problem solving, such as critical thinking, especially in nursing. It's just as important as 2-second thinking in nursing. Critical thinking is defined as the mental process of actively and skillfully perception, analysis, communication, and it leads to decisions for action. So his book seemed to be one-sided, kind of promoting the 2-second decision making, or I think that careful data analysis decision making is just as effective. Identification of philosophical perspective. So the book, Gladwell, proposes that we can train our brain in the mental process of snap judgments in efforts to unlock our abilities to accurately use our instincts and guidance in decision making. I think this goes more in line with Kant and Kant's philosophical thinking and cognitive architecture. He thought that the mind is a complex set of abilities. The functions are crucial for mental knowledge, generating activity, sensory inputs. He talked a lot about cognition requirements, concepts, as well as perception. So this kind of goes along with Kant as far as philosophical perspective goes. Application to philosophy. When reading this book, Blink makes you think about your ability to dig deep into that subconscious. It makes you think, can you really tap into this subconscious part of your brain and use it at will? Some of the questions that I was asking myself when reading this book were, are there just really special people out there who have the ability to actually use 2-second thinking, or is this something that everybody can train themselves to do? The mind is a powerful tool and with undiscovered avenues, and I think that with more research, the ability to actually willingly tap into that subconscious doesn't seem so far away. Application to nursing science. Gladwell referenced Lee Goldman. Lee Goldman is a cardiologist, and he developed the Goldman criteria. What the Goldman criteria is a widely used algorithm which helps medical professionals decide whether patients with chest pain require immediate hospital admission. And the reason why I put this in there is because Goldman actually used rapid cognition and 2-second thinking when he came up with this Goldman criteria. I do think that nurses need to be able to use rapid cognition and intuitive thinking in emergency situations. These 2-second decisions that we're making when taking care of patients, they can be the difference between life and death at times. So I do believe that this book that promotes the 2-second thinking is imperative to nursing practice. So the next 2 slides are the references that I used for the presentation. And so this is the end of my presentation, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it. As far as the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, I do recommend it. So if you need something to read, go out and pick up this book because it's very interesting, it's captivating, and it was a really, really easy read that makes you think about things, especially philosophy, nursing-wise. So I do recommend this book. 2 thumbs up. Thank you.